Okay, everyone. So we are going to talk about some ancient Egyptian papyri tonight. I'll briefly go over, we're just going to kind of like really quickly go over the papyri, specifically, medical papyri. I'm just going to briefly go over the medical papyri that we know about, but we don't have a full translation of, and so we can just like quickly cover what the Wikipedia says like about all of these. And then we have two that we're going to look at in more depth because I found actual translations on. So there is a relatively good Wikipedia page called Ancient Egyptian Papyri, medical papyri specifically, and it has kind of some general terms, but then it has essentially the main medical papyri and then a big chart here at the bottom and gives sort of the basics of it. So the ones that we're going to talk about, the one we talked about before was the Ebers Papyrus. That has an amazing website, which I will try to go and find again, that has a full translation as you hover over it. Thank you, Jordan, for the follow. Welcome on in. And it covers dermatology, digestive diseases, traumatic diseases, dentistry, and some gynecological conditions. The two that we're going to look at next are going to be the Cahoon Gynecological Papyrus and the Edwin Smith Papyrus. And then we'll cover just these shorter ones, just in quick sense. So let's just start with this one. I don't know. These are in not any order. The vast majority of these date to the New Kingdom, probably to 18th dynasty, 19th dynasty. Well, that is the New Kingdom, but all to kind of the New Kingdom because that is where we have the absolute most writing samples that are preserved. We have very little from previous times, and we have some afterwards, but not that many. So, let's briefly talk about the Hearst Papyrus. So, thank you so much for the rose, Jordan. So this is the Hearst Medical Papyrus. It's one of these medical papyri named after Phoebe Hearst. Phoebe Hearst, if you don't know, she is a really awesome philanthropist, feminist, suffragette, but she also collected a lot of both anthropological specimens as well as archaeological specimens. I'm munching on a Milano. I also have corn nuts, but I'm eating a Milano right now. I needed some sugar. And so she has the Hearst Museum of Anthropology at the University of California in Berkeley, and co-founder of National Parks. All around coolish lady. Granted, she still is the kind of colonistic white woman and all that stuff, but she did a lot of other stuff besides her collection and such. I can talk about that, Roman Beards. That is true that the ancient Egyptians did have a pregnancy test. Unclear if it was like actually done all the time or if it was more just like written down. I'm actually curious if it's going to be in the Cahoon Gynecological Papyrus, but essentially a woman pees on a bundle that is both barley and emmer, I think, or maybe wheat. Well, it's not wheat, but two different grains. And if they sprout, she is pregnant. And specifically, it says if one sprouts than the other, then she's pregnant with a boy versus a girl. I don't remember which one is associated with which. But it has been tested by modern medical doctors. Although the gender portion is less likely, the actual like pregnancy is pretty good. It is a Milano cookie. It is not a fruit or vegetable. And corn nuts are no longer. They're a grain. But yeah, barley for boy. Yep. The pregnancy test was pretty accurate, and then the gender portion was not that accurate, but yeah. And they actually used it in the show The Great, which is about Catherine the Great. They literally did it to test if she was pregnant, and I was like, what? That's not from this time period. That's from earlier. But I thought it was very interesting that they included it. Okay, so we have 18 pages of medical prescriptions written in hieratic, concentrating on treatments for problems dealing with the urinary system, blood, hair, and bites. Dates to around 1450 BCE. Was discovered in the spring of 1901. But essentially, as this says, it was received in the spring of 1901 at the camp of the Hearst expedition in Egypt from a peasant on the nearby village of Deir al-Balas, as a thank you for being allowed to take fertilizer from their dumping heaps. It was later named after Phoebe Hearst, who funded much of the expedition. So essentially it was pretty much like Deir al-Balas, where Deir al-Balas is now, and like there was a whole village there. It is also an archaeological site, and so it was probably looted by either that specific peasant or by someone else. Yeah, I know, her son is William Randolph Hearst. she is part of the Hearst, like, millionaires, billionaires probably, but she's got her own things that I think are cooler than her being the mom of William Randolph Hearst. So it dates to the 18th dynasty of Egypt, around Pharaoh Thutmose III, but may have been composed earlier. A lot of these papyri probably were composed earlier, and then again, these papyri were where scribes would practice and copy. So it's in the University in Berkeley. Ooh. Interesting. In later years, some doubts have been raised about its authenticity. The original papyrus has never been carefully examined. As its curator explained in 2003, it is in surprisingly good condition, almost too good to be true. Even Reisner had no doubts. The roll had not been opened since antiquity, as was manifest in the set of the terns, the fine dust, and the casts of insects. Interesting. When was that recorded? In 2003. Interesting. This is a picture of it. Yeah, it is in pretty remarkable condition, but do you see how it has those cracks? There are 3 or 4 cracks. Those cracks are almost entirely even. Like if you look at the distance between these 2 cracks and these 2 cracks and this one, it's literally, it looks like it's rolled up. Henry, when I was in Egypt or when I was somewhere else? Because I've been abroad a couple different times. But there's a lot of fun times when I went abroad. I lived abroad for 6 months once. So it's got some remedial methods for problems such as headaches and digestive problems. Also have incantation and magic spells. Contains 260 paragraphs on 18 columns of medical prescriptions. Topics range from, quote, a tooth which falls out, quote, to a remedy for treatment of the lung, but concentrates on treatments for problems dealing with urinary system, blood, hair, and bites by human beings, pigs, and hippopotamuses. One incantation deals with Canaanite illness, interesting, when the body is coal black with charcoal spots. This is probably tularemia, also known as rabbit fever. Ooh, Jesus. One of the plagues that helped unseat the Hyksos. Interesting. I got you, Roxy, I got you. I couldn't remember if William was her son or father. I couldn't remember. Apparently you could get bitten by a hippo and survive, so. Hey G, no. France wasn't even really a country when the library was destroyed. And neither was the Vatican. The Vatican wasn't around either. So no. The Library of Alexandria did not just all burn in one session, one fell swoop. There's actually, the burning was actually not that bad the first time, and there was just several times over the course of a while that the whole museum, the whole library broke down. But no, France and the Vatican did not take them because neither were in existence when the Library of Alexandria existed. I don't think, no, because the Pope wasn't around because they were still Romans. Yeah. So yeah, tularemia. I've never heard of that one. Ew. Rabbit fever. I've never heard. That's a new one for me. So this is one of them. It appears that there might be a translation by Reisner, but it's not cited here, so I didn't have time to look it up, but maybe one day we'll look that one up. Yeah, Jordan. So most of them have not found, no mummies have been found in them because they were all looted, but there are definitely some that have had mummies in them. Most of the time they are later reburials though. But yeah, they are tombs. So much so that it makes sense that people would later rebury people in it because they still acknowledge them as tombs, even though it's thousands of years later. But yeah, they're tombs. They're tombs, and then they are both temples to the cult of the dead pharaoh. But the temple portion is on the outside of the pyramid and usually attached. Most of them don't survive, so you don't see them. But it's just it's a big tombstone with the tomb on the inside or underneath. What are you guys talking about? I fucking hate Word. There's a space after every paragraph. I'm sorry, Mark. I missed you. I was so confused. I was like, why are we talking about spacing stuff? So now we have the London Medical Papyrus. It just looks like it's one page. It's pretty short, obviously. We don't have much. Has 61 recipes, 25 of which are classified as medical, while the remainder are magic. Looks like they have skin complaints, eye complaints, bleeding, predominantly with the intent of preventing miscarriage through magical methods, and burns. It does appear that it was published, but I'd have to literally go and find that guy's document. Maybe one day we'll go find that one again. We have the Bruges Papyrus, which if you guys remember my whole rabbit hole of finding the ancient Egyptian word for fart, I found it in the Bruges Papyrus. It turned out it was also in the Ebers Papyrus, but the one I was looking for was in this Bruges Papyrus. We're not going to read this one because it's entirely in German and I don't read German. So this is called the Greater Berlin Papyrus or the Berlin Papyrus. It was discovered by Giuseppe Passalacqua in Saqqara, and it was acquired in 1827 for the Berlin Museum. It's a 19th dynasty, dates renowned 1350 to 1200, and was discovered or studied by this guy Heinrich Karl Brusch, and then was translated by Walter Rosinski. Walter Rosinski apparently seemed to translate like a ton of these things because he translated the last one. Only a German translation is available. Mark, we just need you to come in and read. But can you also read German handwriting? Because that's also what it is. If you look at it here. Is this it, I think? Is this where I found it? I think so. It's definitely possible. There's definitely probably some things that were copied down in multiple, to be put into multiple locations. The unfortunate thing is the vast majority of all papyri that we have, like, I'm not even joking, like every papyri that we have. Okay, apparently it's not gonna load. We don't know where they were originally found. So we don't know if they were found in a tomb, or if they were found in a house, or if they were found in a administrative building. All of these medical papyri and many other like more formal papyri, literature papyri, like anything, so many of them essentially were found by locals and then put onto the art market and then purchased by Europeans or Americans to be put into museums. And so we don't know these original locations, so it's hard to tell that context. Because if you did find a papyri, let's say in an administrative building in somewhere near a palace or somewhere near a temple, or you found it in a temple, that can give you a clue that, okay, maybe this has been copied over so that the temple has a copy. But most of the time we don't know. So it's a little bit hard to tell, but yeah, it's definitely possible. Yeah, this is the, where's the handwriting? Oh wait, no, this isn't. What is this? This is, oh, this is not the Bruges papyrus. This is all typed. This is easy. And that's in English. What I'm looking for is, it is on archive. I do have it. I had it when I... I think it's this one. Der Gross. There we go. This is the one. There we go. You want to read this, Mark? Like, how do you know if it's an N or an M? How do you know it's an N or an M? Zoom? Poom? Who knows? Also, writing in, look, so this gives the percentage. So it's 1/64 of Nui 132. Like, so this is Egyptian, but this is German. Yeah, you do kind of guess. I was able to type this in and like, yeah, it's like, sometimes it's easier than other times. But they're often really hard, especially if I don't know how like typical, I don't know how German cursive works. Yeah, beer is beer. I can get that one. I can get that one. And Uber, I know I knocked overnight. Yeah, so it's not, sometimes it's not that hard, but, sorry, I'm closing everything. But yeah, that's almost how all of these papyri are made. And, Vev, I hope that answered your question. That like, it's definitely possible, like papyri was expensive, so it's possible that like, the scribes are copying things down so that they have multiple people have copies of things, but while also using like practice and stuff. But it is kind of hard sometimes. Oh, I know. I had to do my comp exam in either French or German. If I was doing it in linguistics, like if I wanted to like become a specialist, I'd have to know German. So that's never happening. So, and all of the linguists are German. Ronka, Resnick, like, Brusch, like, so many are German. That was pristine. Welcome on in, Rushwing. Love that, Joe. So this is the Papyrus Carlsberg. So this is a collection of a couple different pieces of papyri. They're in the University of Copenhagen, found in the early 1930s. Or the collection was founded, and then they were either purchased between 1931 and 1938. And then so the whole collection, as of August 25th, 2015, 925 individual manuscripts have been inventoried, some of which have been pieced together from dozens or even hundreds of fragments. Altogether, these manuscripts represent more than 2,500 fragments, which have been studied and sorted over the years. So the one that I want to do is this one. Carlsberg Papyrus number 8 is an ancient Egyptian medical papyrus written in hieratic. The recto concerns eye diseases. And the verso deals with birth prognoses. So how to determine whether a woman is pregnant and how to determine the sex of the child. So it is probably that text that we were just talking about. You're so welcome, Rushwing. Mommy bot, Rushwing's not like, let Rushwing lurk. So then the recto text dates to the 18th dynasty, while the verso was recorded several generations later. Very, very interesting. So around about 1500 BCE versus 1400, so about 100 years later, which means it's obviously kept in one spot or in the same spot by somebody. So while similar to the Cahoon and the Berlin Papyrus, Carlsberg Papyrus 8 goes into much more detail on pregnancy, covering methods such as determining whether or not a woman will give birth through the use of hippopotamus excrement. Yay! It also sheds light on how women will conceive and whether or not they will conceive using garlic. Garlic is used as an indicator once properly placed in the body of a woman. Cool beans. Great. So the verso was published. We might read that later. But the recto remains unpublished. Good, because that's actually, I want the verso. Iverson claims that it is almost word for word identical with corresponding chapters of the Ebers Papyrus. Dated as the papyrus as follows, they are inscribed on both sides in two different hands, most popularly dating around the time of the 19th, 20th dynasty. So, poop. Okay, wait. Let's see if we can find this. Ooh. There we go. Is this in English? Is it in English? It's in English. All right, let's look at this one. All right, let's see. Not my kind of garlic bread. Let's find out. Okay, I want to find... Fragment belongs to the same category of text as found in the verso of the medical papyrus in Berlin and in the medical parts of the papyrus of Cahoon, dealing with prognosis on conception, sterility, and the sex of the unborn child. I just want the list. I'm gonna skip all the... I just want to find the translation. Oh! A hopeless task of a damaged inscription. But that's okay. So this one, even though it is damaged, it says, "You shall put something in bags of cloth together with sands." Sands from the beach. Whoa. "The woman shall pass her water upon the bags every day, then be filled with something and dates. If they produce worms and blank, she will not give birth. If they do not produce worms, that which she shall bear shall live." Ooh, interesting. He's giving so much description. Okay, this is number 3. Why is he writing like this? Of all the prescriptions contained in our fragments, the present one is undoubtedly the most damaged and would have been absolutely impossible to get any meaning out of the scanty fragments had it not been for the parallel prescription found in the medical papyrus of Berlin. So he's filling in from another papyrus. So it says, You shall put wheat and barley into purses of cloth. Here we go, real men grow beards. The woman shall pass her water on it every day, it being mixed with dates and sand. If both sprout, she will give birth. If the wheats sprout, she will give birth to a boy. If the barley sprouts, she will give birth to a girl. If they do not sprout, she will not give birth at all. So, no. I don't... Well, that's a very good question. If essentially you're asking if the ancient Egyptians understood that sex is what brought a child, it's a very good question. I don't know. I don't think, that's a very good question. Maybe we'll learn something in the Kahun gynecological papyrus, because I've never thought of that. Is the needle test the one where you put it on a string and if it swings north to south or east to west? Is that what it is? Is that the one you're thinking of? Yeah. It's like if you hold... I haven't heard it as a needle. I've heard it as just like anything on a string. Like you take a necklace and you just hold it. And if it goes north to south... So yes, Baha, that is also a good question. Yes. So I do know that most likely the ancient Egyptians believed that they did sort of believe in this spontaneous generation, but I don't know if they believed it with everything, like with worms. I know they believed it with dung beetles. That the reason that the scarab is so sacred for them is because because they roll that dung ball, and then suddenly new eggs are actually inside of it. But we think that one of the reasons why they think scarabs are like rebirth is that they saw scarabs, like baby scarabs, coming out of this dung beetle, seemingly coming from nothing, because they are not born. They just would come out of the earth in their own way. I don't think so, Real Men Grow Beards. I was thinking about that. I don't think there is. I think there's the implication of husband and wife. I don't think there's the implication of like actually like having sex. Like, I don't know. I mean, we know that like masturbation is something that is talked about as like part of the creation myth. That like they spit or they masturbate and that liquid becomes something. So maybe there's that concept, but I don't know if they really like understood that sex is what it came from. This is such a good question. I never thought about this. Okay. Yeah, I don't know any specific reference to it. I feel like this papyrus might be, but I don't know anything specific. Tonight, yes, I do. I can read hieroglyphs. We're not reading them fully. We're reading translations now because I can't do it that quick. I think so. I don't know. I gotta look more into this. It's a very, very good question. All right, let's read another one. He's doing a lot of comparing stuff for that one. All right, that one is apparently so damaged. Rivdles? Rivdles? Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome on in. Hi, Kenny. Hieroglyphs are cool. You would think, Joe. You would think. And that's why I'm just like... Oh, an academic page on this papyrus? Okay, we're not looking at the Kahun one. We're gonna look at that one next, but we're looking at Carlsberg. But I'm gonna save this with the Kahun, and we're gonna look at Edmund. So we've already looked at Ebers. We're going to look at Edwin Smith and Kahun. This one is kind of, I didn't plan this one because I couldn't find a translation, but I just found this one. So, you shall let a union bulb moistened. Is union bulb supposed to be it might be an onion. With blank, remain the whole night on her vulva. If the smell passes through her mouth, and she will give birth if she, oh my God, that's actually crazy. All right, let's read another one. Another to distinguish between a woman who shall give birth. Oh, a typo. Calling this guy out. Another to distinguish between a woman who shall give birth and one who shall not. You shall fumigate her with excrements of hippopotamus through her vulva. Jesus. If she vomits with her mouth at once, she will not give birth. If she gets flatulence from her posterior at once, then she will give birth. Ah! It's a very good question, Rivdals. There definitely is a distinct air of translation that you can usually tell are super old. This is not what I would consider super, super old, because usually you find the ones that are really, really old have thou and whom, like have very, very formal. But there are, I do always see that, like, so here's the thing. I feel like the reason why they seem so formal is because they seem to semi be out of order as I'm saying it. Like they're not in the same order that we know that we use in English today. And I think that is because we're trying to be really accurate, and we're trying not to we're trying not to like paraphrase pretty much. So like this says, another to distinguish between a woman who shall give birth and one who shall not. Technically you could say, here's another recipe to determine whether or not a woman is pregnant. That's like another way of saying it, but that's not what the text is actually saying. That is a paraphrasing. And so we do want to make sure that we are trying to be as accurate as possible in the translations. Yeah, I was wondering if the barfing could be because you get an infection, which is crazy, but let's read another one. Another to distinguish. So they have like, that's the funny part about this, is that a lot of these medical papyri have many, many, many different recipes for the same thing, which is so interesting to me, because it's like, how do you know which one is the best one? How are you going to choose which one you want to do? Oh, yes, please. I would love to. I'll read it maybe on off time. If you guys do remember, the reason that we did this research like 2 weeks ago was so that I can create content. I can create a whole TikTok series about medical stuff. And we're doing like this research. I still have the document up here. So if you guys do have any like particular questions, I've been writing down any sort of questions that I'm going to cover in like videos in the future. So I'm definitely going to do a pregnancy test. Oh God, what happened? I definitely want to do a pregnancy test one with all the weird options. And I'm gonna copy over this. So that I have that for later. Don't worry, Shepherd of the Anus is on here. Absolutely. Hi, Big Tuna Neil. Oh, thank you, Kenny. But yes, Mark, I would love for you to send me that article. If it's on JSTOR, I can get it for free, but if it's not on JSTOR, then I can't. So this is another to distinguish. You shall let the woman stand in her doorway. You shall examine her eyes. If you see one of these as an Asiatic and the other as a, see, this is an old translation. This is not what you would say, and I'm not going to say it. Then she will not give birth. If you see them of one color, then she will give birth. This is so odd. What does he say about this? The whole proceeding seems rather obscure, and as far as I know, the prescription has never been found outside of Egyptian medicine, though prognosis where the omen is taken from the color of the eyes are by no means uncommon. Yeah, that's definitely an old translation. So interesting. I wonder what word that is, though. Also, if you guys haven't seen the hieroglyph for a woman giving birth, you are missing out. Yeah, I won't use it for today, I think, because I don't think we'll have time to read those specifically. But yeah, the little arms. It's like literally my favorite fucking hieroglyph. It's so funny. Little baby's coming out. I love it. It's like one of my favorite hieroglyphs, honest, to be very, very honest. I don't know what word this one is supposed to be. What ancient Egyptian word? I wish there was a transliteration, but there's not, so I can't compare. Whee! Alright, let's read another one. Another to distinguish. You shall let her drink something, fresh dates, something dates, Saramet, wine, something. If she, oh my god, this guy must not be a native English speaker. If she vomits with her mouth at once, then she will give birth. If she, what the fuck is that word? What is that? Womit. It's Wallace and Womit. I have to look that word up. Boar. Why? Gims? Oh my god, it's an actual English word. It is the rumbling or gurgling noise. I'm shocked. I cannot believe that's a real word, a real English word. Jordan, very good question. So I don't think I think they do have some sort of forms of contraception or some sort of things of not knowing. We're going to look a little bit later at the Cahoon medical papyri, which is specifically a gynecological papyri. So I'm hoping we're going to find some recipes for it there. But I do believe that they had some things that could be considered like contraception as well. That's what I was thinking, Roxy, is that I know that the V and the W, because that would be the second V to W thing, but I've never heard of that word in my life. So yeah, so if she vomits as soon as she drinks this, then she'll give birth. But if she just gets tummy rumbles, she's not gonna get not gonna give birth. Oh, this is the one from the Brusk papyrus. So it says number 193 in the Berlin papyrus. It says watermelon squeeze moistened with the milk of a woman who has borne a male child and shall be made into a remedy that can be swallowed, and the woman eats it. If she vomits, she'll give birth. If she has flatulence, she will not give birth. This is the one that I used to find the ancient Egyptian word for flatulence, is 193 in the Berlin papyrus. That's so funny. So yeah, so this document especially seems to be a duplicate of a lot of other medical papyri that we already have. And that's what this paper seems to be doing. Okay, that's it. Yeah, so it's very short. It doesn't have very much. If anybody wants to read the whole paper. Sorry. I don't know what the actual link is, but thank you, Dr. Hubs. Yeah, we'll have to see when we get to the medical papyri. I only have 2 or 3 short ones that we're going to briefly talk about. So the last 3 that we'll talk about that we don't have a lot of information, I don't have translations for, we have the Chester Beatty medical papyrus. So this has magical incantations against headaches, remedies for anorectal ailments, so stuff for your butt, and dates around 1200 BCE. It's part of the collection of the Alfred Chester Beatty, and is in the British Museum. Yeah, but yeah, I know. So this one I don't have a translation of, but it looks like this might be oh no, this is an article from Surgery. I don't know if we have a full, oh my God. I have to find this article. There's an article from the International Journal of Colorectal Diseases called The Guardians of the Anus and Their Practice. I have to find this article. Let's see if I can I want to get it. Can I get it? Oh. Mark, can you get this for me? Mark, now I hope you know that I'm going to use you and your university to all my advantages so that I can get weird articles. I have to read this. See, the funny part about these is that I have to read these because this is presumably not written by an Egyptologist at all. So it probably could be the worst paper ever, but I want to know what this article says, especially because it's terrifying that his first reference is Herodotus. That is horrible. I mean, it's kind of understandable that it would be your first because you sort of lay the basis and such. It makes sense to me that it, like, in the very, very beginning of a paper, you mention, oh, well, Herodotus. Okay, send that to me. We're definitely going to read that on a later date. Yeah, so that papyrus is pretty short, unfortunately. This is the one I really want to talk about for a little bit. So let's briefly talk about this Ramesside one because it's really short. So there is a Ramesseum medical papyri. They always keep the funny articles. Absolutely. Yeah. You can MelissainDeNile at gmail.com. You can send those to me. I would love to read them. And you know what? We're not going to gatekeep them anymore. I'll post them on Discord. You can also post them on Discord pretty much. I think. Post them on Discord and everyone can read them. I'm not going to gatekeep because the thing is I have a huge reference folder on my computer of anything. If anybody is any time searching for something, let me know because I have a massive backlog of very weird like Egyptology things. And so like I keep them there, but like I don't want to gatekeep them. Like, I just need to, like, make a list of everything I have so that everyone knows what I have. Because I have a shit ton of stuff. So the Ramesseum medical papyri dates back to the 18th century BCE, was found in the Temple of Ramesseum. So this appears to possibly have actually been found there rather than being, like, purchased on the art market. So, document deals with ailments, diseases, such as the structure of the body, and proposed remedies, namely ophthalmologic ailments. What is that? Eyes? Eyes. Yeah, eye diseases and orders. Gynecological, muscles, tendons, and the diseases of children. It is the only well-known papyrus to describe these in great detail. Most of the text is written down in the known manuscripts of the collection. Are written in vertical volumes. So it's similar stuff to papyrus, to Cahoon, labor, protection of newborn, things like that. Have prescriptions dealing with the relaxation of limbs. And it's written in hieroglyphic rather than hieratic, which is very interesting. Yeah, can someone check that they can see the articles that Mark just posted? H is sort of silent. Which one? The first one? Ophthalmological. Yeah. Ophthalmological. That's still so hard to say. So yeah, it doesn't appear that we have a translation for this one. It's also not even clear where this one is. This might be actually in Egypt. Possibly. I don't have any indication of where that one is. Okay, this is the one I want to talk about because although I don't have a translation, it's got a crazy fucking chart at the bottom. So, this is the Brooklyn Papyrus, also known as the Brooklyn Medical Papyrus. It is one of the oldest preserved writings about medicine and often Ophelia. Ophiology? I don't know what that is. Which I guess is herpetology. Manuscript dates around 450 BCE and is today kept at the Brooklyn Museum. So, contains scroll of papyrus divided into two parts with some parts missing. Text is on the recto side, different number referred to... So, okay. The manuscript is a collection. The first part systematically describes a number of different snakes, and the second part describes different treatments for snake bites. That's why I love this papyrus. This papyrus is so cool. Also contains treatments for scorpion bites and spider bites. So dates to around the 30th dynasty of Egypt, but it is written in a common style of the Middle Kingdom, which suggests it may have been from the 13th dynasty, much earlier. The title and the start of the work are missing. Okay. Purchased in 1889 by Charles Edwin Wilbur, donated to the museum by his daughter Theodora Wilbur in the early 1930s. Might have originated from a temple in Heliopolis. In 1989, French Egyptologist Serge Saulneron published an extensive description of the manuscript in his book Un traité égyptien d'ophiologie, I can't say that word in English or in French, Papyri du Brooklyn Museum, number 47.218, 48 and 85. So the ancient Egyptians were well aware of both snakes' usefulness in controlling vermin and dangers posed by poison. By its poison, snake deities were worshipped in hopes of preventing potential attacks from the early representatives. It is not currently on display. But look, there's a whole list of all the different snakes. So we're going to briefly go through this because I thought this was super interesting. It is sad to think that all the stuff that has been lost, but I hate to say it, it's hard to harp on it because we just never know. And it just like, we always have to go and find new knowledge. It's kind of sad. Yay, snakes. Hey, I don't like snakes either, but I think this is very cool. So, it essentially apparently lists out all the type of snake, any sort of distinctive features of that type of snake, the severity of the bite. Oh, very dangerous.
Very dangerous. You go first.
And then if there is an associated god and any sort of specific treatment. So we have the great serpent, Apep, entirely red, belly white, and 4 big teeth. If you get bitten, you will die quickly. There's no associated god and there's no treatment listed. There is something called a Gani snake, which is entirely black. You will die quickly. It's associated with the god Sobek, which is very interesting because that's a crocodile god. There is a snake called an Ikher. It's dark. It comes to a man. It will make you die quickly. And it's associated with this god who I've never heard of before called Kari Bakef. I know. I'm already wearing it. Then we have the Ka-en-am, which is a quail colored, so I guess brownish, a big head and a tail like a mouse. And you can be saved. You can be saved if you got bit by a snake. And it's associated with Sobek as well as Neith, who is a goddess of Libyan origin, possibly also like a war goddess and such. Then you have the Keju, small as a lizard. You can die quickly if you get bit by that one. There is the Sedbu, which is red but has yellow eyes. You can be saved. I guess this is just the paragraph where it lists the treatment. So it might not list the actual treatment on here. It's a big... Oh, it's a slug. Is it a snake or a slug? It kind of looks like a slug. I'm going to snooze the ad for 5 minutes so I can finish this. Then we have the Nebed. It's green with a belly white, non-lethal, associated with the goddess Hathor. We have the Phi Tayam as a color of the rare snake. Apparently rare snake is not on this list, so maybe that was the first one or something. I lost where I was. Non-lethal, associated with the god Geb, man of the earth, god of the earth. Then you have the white Henep, entirely white, 4 teeth, you may die. Associated with the god Serket. So Serket is a goddess who has, is the goddess of the protection of venomous stings and bites of scorpions. And I think snakes. It's mostly scorpions, but it makes sense that she would also be associated with this. Then you have the red Henepu, which is white with a red back and 4 teeth. You can be saved, and it's associated with the god Set. You have a Neki, which is 2.4 meters long. Is that long? How long is 2.4 meters? Wait. A meter is a little bit less than a yard. So that's like at least 2 yards. That's pretty long for a snake. 10 feet! 8 feet? 8 feet? That's pretty long. That's pretty long snake. Is that like... look, can somebody look up what a boa constrictor is? Like... Isn't a boa constrictor is probably 8 feet long, right? I got it swapped. Sorry. I thought a yard was longer than a meter. I was doing weird... No, I know it's not a boa. I know it's not a boa. Stop. I know it's not a boa. I'm trying to use my perception of what a how long a boa constrictor is to compare. Because like 8 feet, yes, I'm almost 6 feet tall. Actually, yeah, that's not that long. Boa constrictors, I feel like, really long. To 10 feet. Yeah. It's close. Yeah, so this one is just 2 feet taller than I am. But yeah, I wasn't saying that boas are in Egypt. I was trying to compare this long snake to the longest. I am 5'11". I'm 5'11 3/4. My 2 brothers are 6'4". I'm tall. I'm tall, baby. 5'10 3/4, 5'11. Yeah. I won't call you short, but I'll think it in my brain. I don't think people... I'm taller than this shelf. Nobody realizes how tall I am. I mean, it makes sense. You guys have never seen me, but like... My brothers are my 2 brothers and my dad are both 6'4", and my mom's 5'8". These are tall shelves! Look at this chair! I am a tall lady. I don't know how to prove to you how tall I am. Actually, I sort of do, but... I don't know how many inches this is. This is only 60 inches. The 60's on the floor. Ah! I dropped it. The 60's on the floor. I just love that you guys are all just... I love that you guys are just all figuring out how tall I am now. I was gonna say my wingspan. Yeah. 60 inches is... Where'd my calculator go? I can't do math in my head. This is a 5 feet ruler. I'm trying to step on the bottom so you guys can see. The thing is, there's like a little bottom part that's not actually measuring, so I'm trying to step on that so that you don't see. I am actually 5'11". Though, last time I went to the doctor, last year, not this year, but last year, this woman told me I was 5'9", and I said, better measure me again. Better measure me again. Because I am not 5'9". I'm 5'11". Thank you very much. I'm 5'10 3/4, but I'm 5'11". I'm gonna snooze this one more time so I can finish talking. You guys are awful. No, I am very confidently 5'11". I don't have my ID to prove it to you guys, but I do. I am very confidently 5'11". Have you ever heard of a smoot, guys? So the whole, this is a whole random thing. Yes. A smoot. No, not Smoothie King. So my coworkers and I, they're in the town that our job is. There are a lot of smoots. It's like a last name. So like there's a lot of smoot like family members, and so we see them pop up when we're doing research and stuff. But when we continue to look, we discovered there's something called a smoot, which is a non-standard humorous unit of length that is 5'3" or 5'7". Essentially, a man named Oliver R. Smoot, who in 1958 laid down repeatedly on the Harvard Bridge between Boston and Cambridge, Massachusetts, so that his fraternity brothers could use his height to measure the length of the bridge. And so this man named Oliver Smoot is, there was a viral video that went around, which is why we had heard of this, but he went around, he's 5'7", and so they said that the bridge was 364.4 smoots, and now there's, I think that's why, like they had a 50th anniversary celebration of the smoot measurement. And I think about this a lot, and the thing is, my coworker is a smoot tall, and so I thought it was very funny that he is a smoot. He is a smoot. And there you go, 100 smoots. I really want to go to the bridge, honestly, because it's so funny. Thank you so much, Haunted Cottagecore. Welcome on in. How haunted are you? Where was I? No, there we go. We're in the middle of the snakes. But yeah, I wanted to be a smoot. Roxy, I think you should get measured again, because when I went back, I've always been 5'10 3/4. I've never been 5'11. I will confess to that, but I did go back last year and I was 5'11 again. So I think you should go back and check. Something was wrong. The wingspan of a large bald eagle. Thank you. Wow. That's very good fun. No, everything should be in smoots. I think these fraternity brothers were just drunk. Okay, thank you, Mark. Last Casper haunted. Friendly ghost. Oh, that's good. I just got a friendly ghost. He's a friendly ghost mummy. His name is Joe. Designed by Joe. I gotta take this off so that I can actually see him. So let's go through the last of these snakes on this papyrus, and then we will actually get to the one that we're supposed to be totally reading tonight. Whoop. I know, we gotta get through the snakes. So then there's the Neki, which is the 2.4 meter long one, non-lethal. So honestly, it could be a weird version of a like boa constrictor, but not boa constrictor if it's not lethal. He lights up. I just got him from Home Goods. You got the Fee. Images of lotus on its forehead. Very interesting. Non-lethal, associated with the god Horus. You have a blowing Fee, a blue-green on neck, unique crawling motion. Can be saved if you get bit by this one. A horned Fee is quail-colored, probably brownish, non-lethal. A small Fee is quail-colored with no horns, can be saved. A Fee with no description, also can be saved. So Fees in general are very fine. Yeah, I know it's not, I kind of want to put a thing in there where it makes it flicker so it looks like it's an actual candle, but it doesn't do that. And I actually don't think, oh, I might be able to remove it, the whole thing. I might be able to. Yeah, so apparently the fee snake are totally fine, pretty much. There's also a male one, and it's like hen poo. There is a Hefa RR, which is a sand-colored snake. It's non-lethal, associated with the god Set. There is a Hefa Nefet, a quail-colored, makes a loud blowing noise. I wonder if that's like rattling or a sound. Oh, I'm so glad. Thanks so much for stopping in. One that the name has been lost, but an entirely white snake. You can be saved by that one. The R Bejaja, which is black and has 3 teeth. Have no idea if you can be saved by that one. Associated with this sun or the moon god Khonsu. Then you have Sedbu, flipping them around. Gold belly and neck, and it's found in fields. It's harmless. Another lost one that's black and has a white belly, non-lethal, associated with the god Hathor. And Kar, green. It changes color according to background. Like a chameleon. Associated with the god Anubis. Very interesting. So here's a picture of that papyrus. You can see a lot of damage on one side, but there's some other space. So herpetologists have proposed identifications for many of the animals it describes, but some remain uncertain, partly because the species no longer lives in Egypt. Niche modeling has been used to predict paleo distributions of 10 species and found to lie within ancient Egypt or in trading areas. Very interesting. Very, very interesting, my friends. So yeah, I thought this one was really cool because it is technically a medical papyri, although I don't have a translation of the medical sections, but all of these snakes have medical remedies for how to deal with a snake bite. And then supposedly the rest of the papyrus also has, it said it had some parts for scorpions and spider bites as well, which is really cool. So I hope one day I could actually find a translation of it, but I haven't been able to. Oh, this one. Oh, this is the Brooklyn Museum website. But yeah. All right, so I think we're gonna read the Cahoon Papyri first. And then we'll see if we have time for Edwin Smith. Because I cannot sight translate. So if I wanted to translate this would take me days, if not weeks, if not months. I have only about 2 years of language under my belt, and this is not my specialty. So, we couldn't do that live. I cannot read that well. Language is not my specialty within it. All right, so we have an ad in about 3 minutes. So any other questions? I'll leave us pause. Any specific medical questions that you guys think would be cool to make a video on? I think probably making one about this papyrus, which is the Brooklyn papyrus, the snake papyrus, would be cool. Oh, that is a good one. Yeah. So I know how it's made modernly. I don't know if we 100% know how it's made in the past, but we can assume that they were made pretty much similar ways. But that's also a very good question. It was essentially woven. The process is sort of semi-been perfected by either like experimental archaeologist or by I know, I gotta figure out a way. I'm back and forth if I like the way that we've been doing ads now, and I might put out a poll to see what you guys think about ads, and I might find a way to maybe turn them off during discussion and lecture streams. Definitely lecture streams. I'm not sure about discussion streams. I think well, the other thing is I don't think I can actually turn them fully off. I think that's the point, unfortunately, is I think Twitch kind of makes them have to happen. So that's why they won't let you like just snooze them the entire time. I don't know. That's what I thought. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yes, Shepherd of the Anus. Oh, okay. Okay, the ad's gonna start in about 15 seconds. So everyone go get a drink. Go take a rest. I'm gonna rest my voice for a sec. Check my TikTok. Who mentioned me? Oh, somebody added a post to their story. Okay. I am so hot. I gotta take this off. I gotta make a better version of this that's not hot. Ugh. Can't believe it's not turned on yet. It just doesn't seem like reliable on my end when it tells me when it's coming on and now it's not even on. Like, I don't understand. There we go. All right. Okay. Let me eat some corn nuts. Any questions on TikTok about ancient Egypt? Because we have a ad on Twitch right now. Let me check. Yep. Yep. Let me see the second one. Yep. Oh my god. The Guardians of the Anus. So it's so short. It's 3 pages. I think we might have to read this one. Yes, Wombat. What made me get into Egyptology? I have been interested in Egypt since I was a little kid. Little old baby. And I just really never thought it would be like actually like possible to like study and like become it's done for you, Friend at Arms? See, it still says it's going on for another minute for me. Can you guys all hear me? So weird. Congrats, Wombat. That's so weird. See, this is what I don't understand. It still says I have 40 seconds. Very odd. Very weird. All right. So yeah, I really liked Egypt, and I really liked archaeology. Like, archaeology became the big stuff, and I was gonna say Nerdfighter. It does say you have a little Prime Gaming logo, so I think you are subbed. Hi, Charlie. You did come in a great time. We just found this article. But yeah, I loved Egypt, and I loved archaeology, and I realized that I could like do, oh, interesting. Weird, Nerd Fighter. Somehow you don't have any. Lucky you. Yeah, I don't know. I can't see. Mark found us this article. It's 3 pages. We're gonna look at it really quickly because it's just too funny not to. So there is abundant knowledge concerning medicine. There's not abundant knowledge. Remember, this is written by somebody who is not an Egyptologist. So there's probably a lot of things in here that are going to be just like slightly wrong, because they're just not. So like this is a guy, 2 guys, Department of Surgery, and then a documentation center for the history of medicine, both from Spain. So there's abundant knowledge concerning medicines in ancient Egypt. Abundant is not the word I would use, but okay. Sources include medical papyri, stele, and texts of historians who visited Egypt from 450 BCE to the beginning of our era. Specialization appeared to have flourished, as Herodotus wrote in his history. Medicine is practiced among them on a plan of separation. Each physician treats a single disorder and no more. Thus, the country swarms with medical practitioners, some undertaking the cure of the diseases of the eye, others of the head, others of the teeth, others of the intestines, and some of those which are not local. Yeah, it's 1995, so that's the other problem. It's as old as me. No. The hierarchy of medicine will be familiar to many of us today, as the manifest in the burial stelas of 2 physicians of ancient Egypt, the stela of Kuhui and the stela of Iren Okti II, discovered by Kibel and Junkter in 1905 and 1926, respectively. The former, dated around the 28th century, was found near the pyramid of Djeser, spelling that weird, in Saqqara with 2 Ks instead of Qs, and the following titles are engraved in the rock. This is the guy I think we were talking about before. So the Sinui Per Sa, the royal palace physician, the Semsu, which is a word for doctor, Sinu Per Sa, the dean of the royal palace physicians, the Wer Sinu Mehu Sema. Sorry, I meant these are supposed to be Per Aa and Per Aa. The C is an A. Head of the upper and lower Egyptian physicians, the Wer Ir Ibe, head of dentists, and the Hemut Satat, literally secret art interpreter. The second personal stela from the 23rd century was discovered in the west of the Khufu Pyramid in Giza. The royal palace physician, the inspector of the royal palace physicians, royal palace occultist, royal physician of the abdomen, dean of the royal palace physicians, and the interpreter of the hidden liquids, which we talked about. We talked about this one before. These men were clearly at the pinnacle of medical profession. In both cases, the curate's expression Neru Pehut appears in the steles. These literally translated mean shepherd or guardian of the anus. Leon Banov observed that the picturesque term leaves no doubt as to what their office was. Evidence indicates that anorectal diseases were seriously regarded in ancient Egypt. Deipgen, the German medical historian, wrote, in contrast to the popular contempt in which the anus is held... In contrast to the popular contempt in which the anus is held today, it must have been especially esteemed organ in ancient Egypt. Sorry, I gave up. It was too many words. I'll keep saying it if you want me to say it, but it was so many words. Proctological disorders feature in many medical papyri, with the mention of recommended remedies are Edwin Smith papyrus. That's one of the papyrus that we are gonna read next. This is a document written in hieratic 1600 BCE. There is only one remedy dealing with the anorectum. The rest are prescriptions that concern surgery. I'm just skipping over the stuff that's... So the Hearst papyrus, which we talked about, 5 of which concern the anorectum. Berlin papyrus has 2. There's 2 different papyri in Berlin. Larger has 9 prescriptions for the anus. Oh, interesting. It was found inside an earthen vessel buried 10 feet deep in the desert near Saqqara by Pasalanka. That is... Which one was that? Was that the... That was the Brushk. Was that the Brushk? Yeah. Okay, so the Brushk one actually was discovered. That's cool. Okay, I couldn't... That was not clear. Where'd it go? So the Brushk papyrus was found inside an earthen vessel buried 10 feet deep in the desert near Saqqara, together with a judicial record of the time of Ramses II. Okay, so there are a couple that have been found sort of in context. Here's that stela of the guy. I'm going to be very honest. I thought that said anal lessons. So we're going to move on and come back to that later. So the Ebers, which is the one that we were reading last time. I'm trying to see how many. 33 of these deal with anorectal diseases, but 6 of them are actually repeated. Then there's the Chester Beatty one, which we also mentioned, found in Deir el-Medina. I love when people like historians are so like specific. So it's like, this short document is only 1.6 centimeters long, and probably for this reason has not, which also it says, nor aroused much interest. Very specific. Doesn't seem it has any specific ones. So from the review of the papyri prescriptions, it is possible to distinguish specific anal disorders from general situations, quote unquote, in which the main complaint cannot be identified. Some do not even specify the condition at all and give only a remedy. For example, remedy made into suppositories for rectal bleeding and used for 4 days. One component contains oil and honey. The second, antinomy, ibex fat, and ammi, gives a clear statement of the symptom in contrast to heal the sick anus. It contains zacum and water to be taken for 4 days. Some afflictions like anal burning, rectal bleeding, rectal prolapse, puritus ani, and hemorrhoidal thrombosis can be clearly identified in this text. Anal burning is one of the complaints often considered in the Ebers. We read that actually in the Ebers. Yeah, preparation H, man. Other remedies have the intent to cool the anus. We talked about that one last time too. Probably the term anal burning was used to express anal itching or symptoms related to puritus ani, for example. Mixture to get rid of swelling, bruise of the anus to soothe the vessels of the anus to get rid of itching. It contains ... I saw the funniest TikTok the other day, which was like some guy commenting on another guy eating Taco Bell. It was like a skit. And the guy was like, "What's wrong with me eating Taco Bell?" And he's like, "Well, you'll be in the bathroom later." And he goes, "Oh, are you one of the men with a little weak little tummy?" And he was like making fun of this guy for saying that like, I am the superior species because I don't have to like shit the bed and shit the bathroom after eating Taco Bell. And I literally was like, oh my God, that's me. Like my stomach is horrible, like with anything. And I'm like, this is me. This is me. This is like the worst. We have no knowledge of the prevalence of rectal bleeding in ancient Egypt. A remedy suggests twice to treat bleeding hemorrhoids, suggesting it might have been common. If you find blood in his back, a remedy made into suppositories is advised. If you find blood in his back more than 5 days, another remedy is also made, suppositories. Hemorrhoid thrombosis is probably considered in these. So the scribe expresses the term painful swellings. The retinue of painful swellings in the anus. The rectal prolapse, which is genuinely awful to think about. The application of honey was recommended, and the effectiveness of which might have been related to osmotic removal of water by sugar for getting rid of turning inside out at the anus. That's literally terrifying. Jesus, contains something and honey paste sliding at the anus. Despite the fact that the ancient Egyptians named some anatomic structures precisely, for example, anus, anal vessels, vagina, urinary bladder, rectum, their knowledge of anatomy and still more physiology was very precarious, as can be seen when reading these paragraphs. Quote, there are 2 vessels in him which drive to his chest. They are responsible for the burning of the anus. Yeah, remember what we talked about? With the ancient Egyptians believe, like, they sort of understood vessels, but they also understood, like, they were tracts. They didn't understand the difference between, like, vessels and tendons and, like, all of these other, like, long pieces that are in your body. They didn't really understand the difference of that, but they understood that everything kind of goes back to the heart, it seems. So it makes sense that they're like, oh yes, these vessels are going straight to the heart, and that is what is responsible. All the vessels go to his heart. They are divided in his nose. They meet in his anus. From them, anal disease originates. So yeah, it's like everything goes back to the heart. The prescriptions included oral medication, suppositories, enemas, and at times local application of ointment. Almost all were recommended for 4 days. The most popular of these was the enema, as observed by Pliny the Elder. Quote, in Egypt, a bird named ibis has taught medicine something similar. It washes its bowels, insinuating his curved beak in such a part through which food is evacuated. Gross! Your vessels. But yeah, that's it. It was a pretty short article, but it was worth it. They gave a lot of specific examples, which is nice. All right. What time is it? 10 o'clock? All right. We can still keep going. Just all vessels. All the vessels. All right, so this is the Kahun gynecological papyrus. This is apparently one of the oldest medical texts, dates to the 12th dynasty. You got a quick little picture of it there. Second picture. Yep, found by Petrie. So there are a few that have been actually found in the same like situation, that in the same in situ, but most seems to kind of get put on the art market. So found in El Lahoun, which is in the Fayum and such, and it was found by Flinders Petrie in 1889, and it was first translated in 1893. It's kept at the Petrie Museum. So like the later Berlin papyrus and the Ramesseum papyri, which we talked about, give duplicate copies of certain things. I may have seen this too. I'm not sure if it's on display, but I may have seen this. I've been to the Petrie, so I'm not sure. I just might not have realized it was. And so because this one is older, it gets to the 12th dynasty in the Middle Kingdom, the possibility that those same prescriptions were then copied over and eventually got onto the Berlin papyrus and the Ramesseum papyrus is like most likely what happened. Text is divided into 34 sections, each section dealing with a specific problem and containing diagnosis and treatment. No prognosis is suggested. Treatments are non-surgical, comprising applying medicines to the affected part or swallowing them. The womb is seen as a source of ailments manifesting themselves into other body parts, for which its fumigation is recommended either by oils, incense, or whatever the woman smells roasting, should it cause her to smell roasting. And there is contraception. I know somebody asked about that. There are details of contraceptive method involving the burning or sprinkling of the crocodile dung. Contraceptive method is also often misconstrued as an insertion of crocodile dung against the cervix. This one line, column 3, line 6. But it's apparently not putting it inside. And then this one depicts another contraceptive method involving sprinkling honey and natron salt over a woman's womb to prevent pregnancy. So I found, because this is the University College London has a translation of it. I love University College London and the Petrie Museum. Their website is jank old. Super, super old. Nobody's updated it. There's so much stuff on it, and it's accurate stuff, but it's like so old, and it's impossible to find it through. But yeah, so this is a translation by Stephen Quirk. So this is a much more recent one. I know it. That's where I went for a semester. Yeah, absolutely not. So we do have transliterations and such. Oh yeah, here's a picture. For those who don't know, red is the indication of a new subject when you're writing on papyri. So it's like the title, and you can see that they've drawn what words are in red. Yeah, so there's one piece. Oh, cool. Oh, that's awesome. I've never seen someone do that before. I've never seen somebody do that before. That's really cool. So that's one, and then this is the second piece. So you can see very, very disturbed, unfortunately. And then in hieroglyphs. Super cool. All right, so let's read the first one. Examination of a woman whose eyes are still aching till she cannot see, on top of aches in her neck. So her eyes are hurting and her neck is hurting. You should say of it, it is discharges of the womb in her eyes. So again, they're associating the womb with other parts of the body. You should treat it by fumigating her with incense and fresh oil, fumigating her womb with it, and fumigating her eyes with goose leg fat. You should have her eat a fresh ass liver. Not a fresh ass, a fresh ass liver. So a donkey liver. Ooh. She needs some protein. Click here for the sound.
Shesauset mer idites imchep. Jedcherekares petis asuntet. Irjednes nek ui hesisenet asher. Jedcherekares namsupu nidit. Ircherekares capsi hersisentis nebit im asher.
Hey man, now I don't have to read it. So there we go. So, yeah, an iron deficiency, maybe. I don't know what, like, but, so she has, like, a headache and, like, an eye ache. Could be dehydration. But they obviously have given her, like, that she wants to eat a liver, so that would absolutely help if she had an iron deficiency or anything. Yeah, the womb does seem to get blamed for a lot of stuff, especially apparently in Egypt and medical stuff. Examination of a woman who is ill from her womb wandering. You should say of it, what do you smell? If she tells you, I smell roasting, you should say of it, it is wrappings of the womb. You should treat it by fumigating her with whatever she smells as roast. That is crazy, and I have no idea what it could be. I'm weirdly wondering, I don't think this is what it is because I think you would get different descriptions. But I'm wondering if this is like a stroke. Like, you know how you smell, you apparently smell toast sometimes when you get a stroke? You smell something burning. I wonder. I'm trying to think of other things that make you smell something off. I know sometimes pregnancy makes your smelling, I was about to say smell buds. That's not the word. Your nose very sensitive to other things. Yeah, migraine. Yeah, it could be. When your husband cooks. Yeah, it's very interesting. Smelling. But apparently, as that other thing said, it thinks that the vessels also go to your nose. Interestingly. All right, third one. Examination of a woman aching in her rear, her front, and the calves of her thighs. The calves of her thighs? I don't know if that's what that means. The calves of her thighs. The backs of her, it might be like there's no, the calves are on the bottom. Yeah, that might be it, Silver. You should say of it, it is discharges of the womb. You should treat it with a measure of carob fruit, a measure of pellets, 1 hin of cow milk, boil, cool, mix together, and drink on 4 mornings. Yeah, I'm thinking it's either your hamstrings or if it's meant to be the back of your thighs, because your calf is on the back of your leg. So like maybe they're thinking the backs of your thighs. But also it just says her front and her rear. So I'm wondering if this is cramps. Although it doesn't say bleeding. I guess that's the weird thing. I'm wondering if this is, it sounds sort of like cramps, like menstrual cramps, but if it doesn't say that she's bleeding, I feel like then it probably is not, because obviously that's much more obvious than just like normal cramps. Growing pains or just aches and pains. This is definitely something like that. So, examination of a woman in her front, her womb, the circuit of her womb between her buttocks. You should say of it, large birth swelling. You should treat it with 1 hin of fresh oil. Pour over her womb and her blank. The circuit of her womb between her buttocks. What does that mean? The circuit of her womb between her buttocks. Her front must mean her stomach. Huh. Yeah, the incense thing. Confident. These are translated by, this is translated by a pretty elite, Stephen Quirk is a pretty good linguist, Egyptologist. They sound weird because they are obviously using shorthand of things, like they're not really describing the things that we would need to describe, but Stephen Quirk is a real, I know this looks like a janky website, but this is a university. This is a university's museum website. It's just really bad. But this is ucl.ac.uk, and you can see translation by Stephen Quirk. Yeah, absolutely. They are describing stuff, and they are not also, they're not also, they don't understand like, physiology and like morphology like we do. Yeah, it does seem that they have a better word for hemorrhoids for sure. But yeah, varicose veins, yeah, I don't know. So, examination of a woman aching in her teeth and molars to the point that she cannot something her mouth, probably move her mouth or something. There's a gap in the text. Is this also, there we go. You should say, it is a toothache of the womb. You should treat it then by fumigating her with incense and oil in 1 jar. Pour over her blank the urine of an ass that has created its, like the day it passed it. I don't know what that means. If she aches in her front from her navel to her buttocks, it is a worm. So, yeah, it's very interesting because so far I cannot tell if it is just that all of men's problems are associated with the heart and all of women's problems are associated with the womb. Because I will say from the Ebers Papyrus, I don't remember any of those specifically saying it was a woman. But I can't remember. So that's what I'm wondering. And remember they think that everything is connected via like only a few vessels. So everything, this is hard to understand. Very interesting. Examination of a woman, all of whose limbs are ill, aching in the sockets of her eyes. You should say it is deprivation of the womb. No beer drinking has been allowed it for the condition of a fresh birth. Oh, interesting. You should treat it with 1 portion of dough and water. Drink for a couple mornings. Interesting. Very interesting. Examination of a woman aching in her legs and her calves after walking. You should say it is discharges of the womb. You should treat it with a massage of her legs and calves with mud until she is well. How amazing is that? Oh my god. See, that's the thing. It appears that everything is associated with the womb, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to treat the womb to fix the problem. I think they're just seeing the womb as that central thing that controls everything in the body. I think that's how they're seeing it. And it appears that with the man, it might be a heart, but I can't tell if that's really that gendered or if it's just how some of these medical papyri kind of work, which is very interesting. So examination of a woman aching in her molars, her front, and her ears, so much that she hears no word. Oh my god, she's gone deaf. You should say it is terrors of the womb. You should treat it with the same prescription used for removing detritus of the womb. What's detritus? Waste. Okay. So that potentially could be miscarriage. Yeah, so it's junk. So it's anything bad. It potentially could be like miscarriage. And I'm wondering, like, I feel like preeclampsia, if it gets that bad, it can sort of make you lose your hearing or something. Like, I feel like I've heard that somewhere. That might be wrong. Examination of a woman aching in her front and all her limbs as if she had been beaten. It is something of the womb. You should treat it with a dial of oil until she is well. Like, clear everything out. Examination of a woman aching in her urine dash dump something. Yeah, maybe I'm thinking of sight instead of hearing. Unfortunately unfinished. It is discharges of the wound. You should treat it with beans, peart seni plant, and moot parts of the gooey plant. Grind or fine with 1 hin jar of beer. Boil, drink on 4 mornings. She spends 1 day and night fasting. The morning after drink 1 hin of the same. She spends 1 day of fasting until the arrival of breakfast time. Very specific. So it says aching in her urine. I'm wondering if this is a UTI. Examination of a woman bedbound, not stretching when she shakes it. It is clenches of the womb by having her drink 2 hin of beverage and having her spew it up at once. Interesting. Woman bedbound, not stretching when she shakes it. Interesting. That might be preeclampsia, honestly. I know it. Preeclampsia, like, can make you stretch before you shake it. I know preeclampsia after, like, can get you shake, 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 Shannara, shake your body out. Shake, 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 Shannara, shake it all the time. Examination of a woman aching in her calves. You should apply for it strips of fine linen soaked in resin. Ooh. Blank sweet when she has done everything, it means she will be healthy. So if the product is sweet, interesting, it means she will be healthy. If the product is foul, it is something of the womb. You should treat it with a cup of fresh oil, pour over her, and then place resin on her, probably calves, after doing this. Interesting. Oh, this is a long one, but a lot of gaps. Examination of a woman. Examination blank her calves on her one side. You should say of it, it is ejections. Gives you all the things. The side which she aches, have her sleep on it. If something circulates, if she passes blank when she has done everything, blank her blank swollen. You should place your finger on it until you find it firm. on the wound. It is a worm! We all know about worms. We were reading a lot about worms on the Ebers Papyrus. Yeah, so a lot of this, unfortunately, is very broken up. I didn't realize. Examination of a woman thirsting. It's treated with a measure of fermented Hessa liquid. Examination of a woman when her front is swollen. Nothing here. Treated with a measure of wadiu, grind and refined boil with a cup of milk. This is another one. Woman aching in all her pain in all her limbs and the sockets of her eyes. It is pains of the womb. Measure it with oil. Ished fruit, grapes, notch sycamore fruit, beans, parrot, seni. Grind and refine, boil, and drink for 3 days. Oh, here we go. Examination of a woman bleeding. Blank. Human mother aching in her head, her mouth, and the palm of her hand. Ooh. You should say of it. Unfortunately missing. You should treat it by smearing for her ground and placing it on dregs of sweet beer. If nothing emerges for her, you should place dates. Ooh. Causing her to sit on it. If nothing emerges for her, you should have blood or bodily fluid. Oh my goodness. It's a lot. A lot of stuff going on. Another prescription for unveiling a woman from something. Sprinkle on her wound. This is where it gets really broken up. Determining the child to be born in the womb of a woman. If a month returns on a month. Yeah, I know. There's a lot missing. And it's unfortunate because, like, yes, you can usually tend to find words. Hieratic, I'm not as clear on how you find, like, what words look like. Sorry, it looks like that's my belly. It's the ghost. But a lot of this, unfortunately, is contextual. So the pieces that are missing could have changed the words that we have still here. As for a woman stricken by a prescription for pregnancy after severing the return, grind, refine, soak in a cloth with Hessa and Atzi liquid, submerge in the waters, blank, incense, French oil, dates, sweet beer, place inside a rack on the flame, and you should fumigate something as the sweetener of the mouth. Oh, for preventing something. Crocodile dung. This is the one that I referenced, 3.6. Crocodile dung chopped over Hessa and Atzi like a sprinkle. So it's so that's what it mentioned, that it always mentioned, people think that it has to be inserted, but it appears that you are sprinkling it even though the rest of the recipe is missing. But that is probably based on everything else that is kind of yeah, so it said here in column 3, line 6, there are details of contraception method involving the burning or sprinkling of crocodile dung. It is often misconstrued as the insertion of crocodile dung against the cervix. We're talking about gynecological stuff. It just so happens that it involves crocodile poop. So sorry. You missed us talking about the guardian of the anus, though, unfortunately. The article is in our Discord if you do want to read it, though. So another prescription, hin of honey. So this is another. So after the... In medical papyri, frequently, if the next prescription is talking about the same thing, it'll technically just say, like, another prescription. We like talking about butts in the context of medical papyri. Oh, I like to cuddle the dog. Yay. Sorry, I just like clicking my nails against ceramic pieces. Gotta do an ASMR. Honestly, Wombat, very great question. How do you get crocodile dung? Who knows? Who knows? So while we don't know what this says, we have that missing, but we can assume it probably is preventing something from the womb. It also says another prescription, a hin is a measurement, a source of measurement. Oh god, I'm tired. A hint of honey, sprinkle over the womb. This is to be done on a natron bed, so a salt. Yeah, I know, Plu, but it's just how it happens sometimes. So another one, something over Hessa and Atsu liquid, you sprinkle over the womb, which these are the two that are also mentioned here. So the unfortunate, if you haven't caught on yet, we don't know what these plants are. We just know that the ancient Egyptians called them the Hessa plant, and there's something called an awit liquid. We don't know what those are, unfortunately. And that's the big problem with trying to confirm with what actual medical, like, if any. I hate it because I know somebody's gonna ask me a question of, like, if I do this medical series of, like, well, did any of these things work? And I'm like, I hate to say it, the unfortunate thing is we don't know. I think we looked this up last time. Sorry, I'm leaning so far back because I'm so sleepy. I think we looked up what an Egyptian hin was. I think this is it. A Hinu is 0.04 of a liter. I can't remember when we looked through that. So about a pint. Okay, that's kind of small. Yeah, there's a lot of oils involved, Wombat. Yeah. So I think the Hinu is literally like a quart. It's pretty small. But you see Ro. Ro is mentioned pretty often. Another over Hessa to liquid sprinkle over her womb. This is for removing Tiau pain of the womb. Date Paul stalk on blank, crush, rejoin with sweet beer, have her sit on it with her legs apart. It's so interesting that this specific type of pain has a name. Thank you, Sheshu. Oh, I'm so glad, Plu. We are also live on Twitch, and we play video games during the week as well. We don't talk about it in Egypt as much, because it just depends on what video game we're playing, but I'm glad you're here. Cool. Great. No, thank you. God, I don't think I could ever drink urine from just the smell. I hate that. I hate that thought. But that's so interesting that they have a specific name for this type of pain, which honestly makes me think that this might be menstrual cramps, because I can't think of a specific like other pain. Like obviously there are so many other pains that you could get with like with your vagina or with urinary tract infections or something, but like a specific pain like this I feel like has to be probably menstrual cramps. It could be potentially labor pains, but I feel like they would indicate that it was that rather than tiau pain. Treatment of a woman burning something. I think there's a blank. Her eyes bleary. Zephyr ware wood grated on the left side of the birth brick. Sprinkle, sever something. 4 mornings. You should cause her to sit on water of blank and lake water. Interesting. Burning. Wonder what that could be. Determining a woman who will conceive from one who will not. You should make fresh oil and blank, you should blank it. If the vessels of her innards are found distended, you should say of it, it is the birth. If you find it limp, you should say of it, she will give birth late. But if you find her like, and then blank. I don't know what they mean, vessels of her innards. I don't know what they mean by that. Very weird. I'm wondering if they're actually like doing examinations of like the internal structure or something. I don't know. I wonder. Let's move on. Another instance. You should have her sit on earth smeared with dregs of sweet beer, put fruit, dates. Something ejects, she will give birth. And for every ejection which comes from her mouth, each one birth. If she does not eject, though, she will never give birth. So this is not a trying to figure out if you're pregnant or not. This is a determination if you will ever give birth. So like this is literally like you apparently sit on something, and if you start vomiting, I guess. I don't know. I'm surprised they aren't using the word for vomiting, so I don't know really what they mean by ejection. But these are very interesting. Yeah. Another instance, you should place a bundle of onion's mouth on belly. If you find it in it, you should say of it, she will give birth. If you do not find her... There's a whole gap. I don't know what this is supposed to say. Another instance, you should pummel for it on her lip, the tip of your finger on the top of her minia, whatever that is. If hurts something, if it does not hurt, she will never give birth. The top of her menia, whatever that Egyptian word means, which if it's not translated, it means we don't know what it means. The tip of your finger on the top of her, I don't know. She's obviously touching somewhere. And if it hurts, maybe it's her stomach somewhere? Maybe it's somewhere. I don't know what that word means. Fascinating. Oh, we're almost done with this one. Another instance. That calf of Horus, blank, I am on blank, Horus and vice versa, go down to the place from which you blank. Blank formula is said blank. If it comes down from her nostril, she will give birth. If it comes down from her womb, she will give birth. If then blank, she will not give birth forever. So this is probably a more spell, the ones that are classified more magical than they are medical. Another instance, if you see her face fresh with freshness, but find something on her like blank, but if you see anything on her eyes, she will never give birth. It's very, very weird. Like that finger on the minia. Minia, what could that be? The minia. Preventing acute pains of a woman. Blank, beans, grind with blank. Something look at her molars and the day she will give birth. This is an effective way to prevent acute pains 1,000,000 times. 1,000,000 times is like that, like... I don't know if it could be a dilation check. I was thinking of it like that is like the cervix, a minia. I wonder. It's hard to tell because we don't have as much evidence if they did any sort of internal checks. Like that's hard, but it could be. It could be that you press on the cervix and it hurts. It doesn't hurt. I mean, that seems like it always hurt, but I guess It could be. A woman waters in difficulty, peas. If the waters come, when she observed it, she will be the same forever. And that's it. So that one is the Cahoon Papyrus. Or at least the medical Cahoon Papyrus. Very, very interesting.